Alright, I look terrible in this video, but when do I ever look that great? And that's why I'm going to truth it to try to remedy that. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. That's just my comedic intro, or lack thereof. Anyway, so recently Sony released a DVD box set of their Ghostbusters movies. But one movie was noticeably absent, and its creator wasn't happy about it. What it included was Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. What was absent was the 2016 Ghostbusters, directed by Paul Feig, I don't know. Anyway, the dude who did the Bridesmaids movies. Now, guy is a talented dude. He's demonstrated competency and talent in other works. But that being said, his 2016 Ghostbusters movie isn't without its flaws. Now, prior to the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife, I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon and just, dogpile it and be like, oh, it's terrible. I wanted to give a fair, measured assessment. But with the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife, I didn't feel the need to be as diplomatic. Fair, but not as diplomatic and conciliatory as I had previously been. So, the reason I'm making this video is kind of directed at him, Paul Feig. It's like, he's not watching this, but his thinking is like, well, why didn't they put my movie in that collection? And I'll tell you why. It is, sir, because all those movies, even Ghostbusters 2 for all its shortcomings, measure up to a certain level. They understood the assignment and they went after it, and each of them achieved that bar, that standard, which had been set. Yours, on the other hand, did not. Now, here's the thing. You had a generous budget to work with. You had, I think, $140 million to work with. That is huge. And the resources were not well spent. Now, I will give you this. Give the devil his dues. I do think that your movie had a decent Act 1 and a decent Act 2, and I liked how there were things in Act 1 that came all the way back into Act 3 and tied it together. Act 2 is where I feel, which is basically the vast majority of the movie, is where your movie sank. So, and here's the thing. The whole woman thing, that was not an issue. It was the entirety of the movie, because all the actresses that you picked for Ghostbusters 2016, they were all talented, proven comedians. So that shouldn't have been an issue. Like, aesthetically, also, it didn't match the previous two movies, and it didn't match Afterlife. It veered far too into the direction of comedy. Even though the Ghostbusters movies are comedies, that's not their entirety. Like, if you were to look at, say, The Exorcist or Poltergeist, bug. Anyway, those are horror movies. The Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife, they're comedies, but they also have a horror aesthetic. Like, you could cut footage from those movies into the aforementioned horror films and vice versa, and tonally it would work. That could not be the case with your movie. There was a total absence of a horror element to it. Now, I've seen in interviews that you and other people have said that y'all were going for your own thing that stood on its own 2 feet. I take issue with that, and I don't think that it is true. The reason being because the marketing for your movie bent heavily on nostalgia. You featured the Ghostbusters theme all throughout the trailer, and you just really drove home the point of like, hey, this is a Ghostbusters movie. Remember those other movies from like 30 or 40 years ago? Well, here's another. It matches up to that. And that simply wasn't the case. But anyway, yeah. So basically, there's a list of criteria that to make a great Ghostbusters movie. Yours did not match up to that criteria, and this collection is supposed to represent all the movies that do match that. Heck, the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon from the 90s and even the Real Ghostbusters cartoon from the 80s, they match that criteria. And they're not included, well, because they're shows and not movies. So it's like, if they can't get in that collection, then do you have a right to complain? But that's the reason why. The aforementioned projects, Ghostbusters 1, 2, and Afterlife, they passed the muster, and yours didn't. In all sympathy, you had an unenviable task ahead of you, and you were the first person, aside from Ivan Reitman, to have a go at this. I mean, and in your defense, even Ivan Reitman, he sort of tried to make another Ghostbusters movie with that movie Evolution, which I found enjoyable, and that didn't pass that muster. So, yeah. But still, that movie even is closer in spirit to Ghostbusters than your movie. If anything, that movie, for all its flaws, would have more reason to be included in that box set than your Ghostbusters movie. So, all due respect to you, I mean, you're a vastly superior filmmaker than me. Throw a rock and you'll find a vastly superior filmmaker to me. But that is why your movie wasn't included, and you should just take that and consider and just reflect, on how you conduct yourself in your next project. Peace.